because it's a word of revelation. And then Martha's going to join us, Jaden's going to join us, but you said something, you've said everything so powerful. Listen, when a man of God that is a prophet begins to speak, that is sent to us, just put your antennas up. You have to catch it. You've got to catch it right now. So it's hitting your spirit. John chapter 15, John 13 and 14, God talks all about what he's going to do for us. Then John 15, he says, but this is what I'm going to require of you. He said, I'm about to take you into 3 phases. There's going to be fruit, there's going to be more fruit, and there's going to be much fruit. But between you producing, between there being fruit and much fruit, and this is the last message that Jesus really leaves. And I would have tied it in right into the middle of where you were, Dr. Pierce, because I want to show you positionally what's happened. He said there's going to be some in-between valleys, and the challenge is not the much fruit. The challenge is the in-between stages. The in-between stages. And he said, here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to abide in me, which means to remain with an expectancy. It means you have to stay in place and in position. You have to stay with an expectancy. And expectation has to do with revelatory ministry, with the prophetic. It's an umbilical cord to your future. He said, so as you abide in me, and it's all about worship. He said, because I am the vine. He said, and you are the branches. He said, and you can't do anything outside of being connected as one with me. There's a position of oneness that you're going to have to stay in with an expectation. But there is a remnant that is moving into much fruit. And here's what he said here. He said, I'm going to purge you because that's the in-between. He said, I'm going to cut back everyone that doesn't produce, where there's no producing. He said it's being sifted out. He said, I'm going to purge it. He said, but those of you that are producing, I'm going to cut back too. So here was the problem. We went, what was going on? Because it was, okay, that wasn't producing, and something that doesn't produce, God said, I'm cutting it down, I'm cutting it away. But even that which produces, I'm cutting it back, only for it to produce more. The cutting back you went through and the purging you went through was for this moment. And here's why. So he said, I'm not cutting you back to hurt you, because I have the precision of a surgeon and I know exactly what I am cutting out. And Dr. Pierce said it, when you let go of that one thing, you've been wrestling with God, but in the moment, just Martha, everyone said it in different ways, say yes, obedience. It's just obedience. Everyone's saying the same thing. When and it might be the simplest thing. It's not an obvious sin, but God's saying shut that door, because there is not just more fruit, there's the much fruit. You're entering in the final phase of the greatest glory you have ever seen released in your life and in this earth. I'm prophetically proclaiming what God is saying to you right now. So he said, I'll cut back, and that purging of cutting back was not for God to kill you, because it was for God to bless you, because he's about to send much fruit into this nation, much fruit into this world. The greatest glory days are here right now, and there is a remnant that has been raised up that will bring forth the fruit. They will bring forth the character and the glory of God in this earth. The church, the bride of Christ, is coming forth as a mighty army out of Zion. You've been called to a place of ascension, and even now God has set you up sovereignly. And I declare to you that that fruit will bring the glory, because there are many in darkness that will see the light of God by the fruit in your life. It's that Jesus is going to shine through you. Jesus is going to shine in you. And I say by the Spirit of God that what you've seen in the past pales in comparison. For there is a highway, and that highway is the highway of heaven, that God is coming to this earth in his greatest glory to manifest his power and his presence in your life and in this world. He's going to do it in a way. And here's what the problem was, Dr. Pierce, and I'm going to pitch this to Jaden and bring them back, but the Spirit of God is so here. The problem is when you start getting cut on and things you start losing. Jaden said it. There's some losses in your life. When you start getting cut on, there's an anxiety, that fear, that anxiety that says, am I going to lose this too? But God says you will never lose what you've lost before. It wasn't a loss. It will never happen again. It wasn't a loss. And by the sovereign strategy of God, I want you to get the mind of Christ for a moment. God was not taking. He's pruning. He was pruning. I had to understand His ways are not my ways. And there had to be, I told my church, I said, a month or two ago, I said, you know, I whisper this, but I said, I'm so grateful for being stripped. I'm so grateful. Now, there are things that I would never want to go through again.
Don't want to.
Losses I'd never want to have. But I'm so grateful for course corrections. And it wouldn't be, listen, a course correction to a child of God. Hands is clean, heart is pure, walking before the Lord. But God's saying, just like to Abraham, 7 separations in your life. I'm taking you to a place that will outlive your life. That what you're going to produce is going to be much more lasting than your own lifetime. And He said, but there had to be some things that, it wouldn't be the obvious sin. Like some people say, you know, you're not out messing around and doing crazy. But God's saying, shut that off because it's a drainer. Move this because it's a leech in your life. And I'm positioning you because I'm about to bring forth much fruit. Javen, I don't know what you are going to do. Count it all joy. That's so perfect. See, what a prophetic night. I don't know what Javen's about to sing.